Hello, future millionaires. This is Aztec and this is the CSC. Today, we got a lot to talk about. I want to go over this chart with you. It is the BTC to USD Coinbase 4-hour chart. But before I get into it, I want to tell you what I'm going to talk about today. I want to teach you guys something that I've learned working with a lot of whales, millionaires, um, essentially rich people. I'm not a rich person, guys, but um, I have traded a lot of my time and research for extremely valuable information. Now, everyone knows the rich only get richer, but why are they different than your average person? It's because they have certain knowledge that basically makes them richer and richer and richer. Their education isn't necessarily book smarts. The rich truly have a different type of education. So I've, being in the crypto space and meeting a lot of these people over the past years, I've acquired a lot of knowledge, and I want to share one overall kind of general theme with you guys, and it's called accumulation. And I want to tell you how to accumulate properly. And then also I want to go over these articles that I found noteworthy. So let's go ahead and just dive into this. Of course, you guys know we've been following. So the overall trend, if we look at this again, it is the BTC to USD 4-hour Coinbase chart. I'm using the 4-hour because I want to kind of, show you the short-term potential. Of course, this is not financial advice. Nothing that I ever talk about on my show is financial advice. It's just my opinion or things that I've learned, things that I'm doing for myself. It's just opinion, though. It's not financial advice. I must stress that. Now, of course, the overall trend is bearish. We're falling. Recently, we were in this descending wedge, and at the time, I really thought that we were going to break up in this area here just because the indicators looked good, and generally 70% of the time we break up and over the top of a descending wedge, but we broke down, guys. So it was kind of unexpected, but it's a good thing that I set stop losses. Now, essentially, if we look at this kind of short-term play, what's going on? A lot of you guys were asking me yesterday, why did you buy in down here? And oh yeah, just to kind of let you know, I mean, for you that don't know, I hang out on the Cardano Trading Telegram channel. So if you want to at me there, talk to me in real time, I'm there a lot. So you guys can hang out with me there. You can pick my brain. And I kind of suggested here yesterday that I was buying, and people were like, why are you buying? And it's because I could tell that we were going to have a relief rally at this point. And we did have a nice relief rally. And of course, I sold, and I'm waiting for re-entry. But to be honest, guys, we are in a no man's land kind of area right now. Because the indicators, the volume, everything's kind of suggesting kind of like an unknown at this point. And let's get into that. I mean, the volume is falling. As we can see, this volume here, this candle is volume candle here, and then here, and then here, and then here, and here. It's just descending. Generally, when the volume starts to shrink like this, that means it basically indicates that you're either going to break up or down, right? I know that's not that telling. But it is important because we're looking with the volume at this point, we're looking for some type of movement. So this is where we can kind of start paying attention, getting ready for a play. Set your stop losses, things like that. Start planning. But at this point, it's really a no man's land. There isn't a really good play that I can see out of this other than setting stop losses. And if we look at the RSI, it may potentially be making higher lows. We can see over here we were sitting at 25, now we're at 34, and now we're at 37. And in another 4 to 16 hours, we could, maybe be 38, 39 RSI. And in that case, that would kind of show that the RSI at least is starting to look a little bullish in the short term. But in this case, with this overall trend falling, And with this recent breakdown, when the RSI and MACD were looking pretty good, and we still broke down, this kind of area for me, even though the RSI seems to be making higher lows, looks decent. It's not very telling, and it's not that significant to me. So moving down, we look at the MACD. We see the histogram. It's starting to, the sell pressure is starting to subside. The MACD is getting closer essentially to the trend line. But even though we see this and we see the MACD looking like it wants to cross up and above the trend line, again, this is not very telling at this point, because over here, if we look, for example, the histogram was subsiding, was going down. The MACD looked like it wanted to cross up and above here, and we actually, it's like the trend line acted as resistance and we just fell. So this is just, I guess, really the reason why I'm not suggesting that because these indicators look slightly good, I'm not suggesting that we're going to move higher at this point, because here I lost a lot of confidence recently in the recent moves that these indicators are really that noteworthy. So I'm very cautious at this time, guys. I'm not really like jumping in for some type of trade, like little tiny swing or day, make some day trades or whatever, because I lost a lot of confidence, and I'm really trying to see where this kind of a little trend starts moving. Is it going to start forming some type of new pattern? Because we just broke out of this descending wedge, which is this pattern here. So we're in a no man's land at this point. So setting stop losses is what I'm doing. Not financial advice, guys. Just what I'm doing. I'm looking to see where this develops. Are we going to cross over on the MACD? Are we going to make a higher low? Are we going to continually look better? Are we going to make move up from here? And possibly make some plays off that. So, anyways, I want to kind of tell you, before I get into the articles, let's go ahead and talk about this accumulation idea and how it has worked for a lot of my buddies, the millionaires and whales that I've met in this space over the past couple of years. Now, essentially, I want to try to oversimplify this and make it very easy to understand. It is a very large topic, and there's a lot. I could just go into this topic for hours, because there's so much to it. But let's just break it down and cut out the fluff, as I like to do in this show. So essentially, let's say Tom, my buddy Tom. It's not his real name, I'm just using a fictitious name here. So let's say Tom, what he's done over the last 30 years, he's bought gold. This is an easy asset to accumulate that a lot of people in the past have accumulated, because they have, even though gold over the past 100 years has significantly moved up and down, it has always slowly trended upward. And it is, if you find assets like that, they are a nice place to go ahead and accumulate. And so I'm trying to tell you guys how to accumulate properly, or at least how I've personally learned to accumulate based off of how other people have accumulated and actually became millionaires off accumulation. So there is a really big difference in the education. Again, guys, there's a really big difference in the education between people that are very rich and the way that they live their life versus your average person, the things they buy. And accumulation is one of those types of things. Accumulation of the proper type of assets are what really creates the difference. Now, as example, I'm using gold. They accumulated gold. They weren't. Let's say Tom. He wasn't always rich at in the beginning, but he accumulated gold. He used money that he didn't need for bills. He just purchased with extra money assets, or let's say gold, and he slowly did that. and he used money that he didn't need, because let's say something came up, it wasn't he could still pay for these, big issues, let's say like car troubles or what have you, with his normal budget. He was just, he just used money again that he didn't really need. It was just extra money. It could have went to going to the bar or going on a trip or what have you, and he splurged, instead of on frivolous things, he spent on gold to start accumulating. And essentially, if the price of gold was falling and was in a bear kind of type market, it didn't hurt him, because he didn't care about the price, because he could hold it for as long as he needed to, years later, to when that gold that he had acquired became, the price of it became inflated. And then at that point, he could sell small portions of it, um, and then possibly move that, um, that the money he made off that into larger assets. Example, real estate, uh, rental properties, things like that. And essentially, this is how Tom became a multi-millionaire, over the years through accumulation. So essentially, if you can find stocks, if you were, 20 years ago, you were buying Apple, you found um, stocks or assets that had the most upside, tech type stocks that look to be going somewhere. Um, Gold, if you were accumulating these things and buying and selling during the highs, selling at the highs, of course, and buying at the lows, you could accumulate a lot of money and then move those amounts that you made into other assets. And something very important also is that while you're making money, you want to move that money into things that are supposed to appreciate in value. You don't want to go buy a Lambo necessarily. A lot of these rich guys that I know, they didn't just, on the first, $100,000 they made, go out and buy a super expensive car. They then reinvested that money into um, bigger assets that are going to make even more money for them. They didn't purchase things that were going to depreciate, like a fancy car. And essentially, that's the way that you accumulate properly. Again, you buy low, sell high. You only sell when you absolutely need to. Absolutely need to. And again, you only sell portions. And if you do sell, you sell when the asset that you have is super inflated. You sell portions again, and then you move it into other appreciating assets. And it's just this kind of snowballing effect moving upwards, and your net worth just starts going up and up and up throughout the years. If you can wait out a bear market because you're using money that you don't need, it's not within, that you need for your budgeted items or living expenses, then you can wait out bear markets and then wait for the bull markets and sell then. So essentially, that's how you accumulate. And a lot of people yesterday on Telegram, they were asking me, why did you buy here? Well, I knew there was going to be a relief rally. I bought down here, I sold down here. I'm waiting for reentry, and I continually keep doing this to increase my portfolio, and I'm only, I never need to sell it, sell off, because I'm using money that, it's just extra, and I don't really care about price. A lot of people in the Telegram, they're talking about price right now. I don't care about the price. The only thing I care about is acquiring more Bitcoin and more of my favorite projects. Of course, the very number one project that I accumulate is Cardano, because I know that the price right now doesn't matter. The bull market, that's when I start caring about price, the money while it's moving up, because I'm going to wait out the bear market and just accumulate during this time through trading. And that's what works for me, guys. It's not necessarily the end all, the best way. There's all kinds of different ways, but I know by working with the people that I've met over the years in the crypto space, they've taught me that accumulation and accumulating properly and when to buy and sell is very important. So, that's what I'm doing for myself, not financial advice, guys. Just what I do for me. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into these articles. I found these pretty noteworthy. We have this article from the Coinbase blog that says Coinbase continues to explore support for new digital assets. And there's a whole bunch of new assets here that they're looking at. Of course, you know that since July, I call them the top 5. They were talking about Cardano, ZRX, Zcash, Basic Attention Token, and Stellar. And now, more recently, they've continually started talking about newer projects, ERC20 tokens, what have you. I guess here, what's important to me about this article is that Cardano is still here, and it's not, they're still entertaining the idea. So that kind of just, to me, solidifies the fact that they're going to list Cardano now. Really, it's what I find interesting is that Cardano hasn't been listed yet, and I wonder, why has it not been listed? And I have heard a lot of speculation suggesting that the project is waiting to list during a bull market or possibly after they have more of the roadmap successfully completed, such, as an example, you have the things that are going to be done through the Shelley era, like staking. Also smart contracts. Once smart contracts are fully enabled and people are able to start, building these smart contracts and the adoption of these smart contracts start taking off, maybe, Cardano could happen. Of course, the testnet is open actually, so for Cardano, so there are people already starting to play around with the platform, but that's just speculation. Though it is pretty interesting though, because I've talked to a lot of you guys on the Cardano Trading Telegram channel, and you're asking, why hasn't happened yet? I guess there is that big question: is it better to list now, or is it better to list later during a bull market? Is it better to list now, try to do it as soon as possible, start shaking hands with more projects and news outlets and do all that now, or is it better to do that later on during a bull market when it's more significant to the evaluation of the project? Or is it better to do it now to kind of secure your spot in the influence of the market, to help kind of position the project in an area where it's ready for the bull market, so that it's already seen as a top project? This is all debatable, but what do you guys think? I personally trust the Cardano project, Emergo, and IOHK to make the right decisions for the project. I think that they, no matter what, have a better idea of why they are making, taking the actions that they are. And I just hope that it doesn't have to, the reason that things aren't happening, like marketing and shaking hands with certain news agencies or making certain listings. I hope that they're not happening because of requirements of these as an example, like let's say Coinbase wanting certain favors from Cardano or something. I hope it's not happening because of something like that, and it's just that they truly are trying to plan for the best opportunity to list or start marketing or whatever. So anyways, guys, tell me what you think about that. I know it's frustrating for a lot of you guys that hold Cardano. You want to see a lot more, but of course, we are a peer reviewed type project. It's a little bit slower, but the technology will be more sufficient. And I really think that the game is being played a lot smart with Cardano, and that's why they move and do different things than, let's say, like Tron, which is where there's a lot of hype, a lot of marketing, and they're shaking hands with all the right people. So I just have to personally, I place a lot of faith in the Cardano project. But tell me what you think. Anyways, next article. This is from CCN. It says cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase lists 4 more Ethereum tokens. Just to stay in the vein of Coinbase, here it says starting today, December 7th, Coinbase Pro users can transfer their balances of Civic, District OX, Illum Network, Decentraland to the exchange, and full trading will commence around 48 hours from today. It's pretty interesting that they are adding these coins. I think it kind of shows that there may be a little bit more time before Cardano and Stellar are added, especially because they're adding these ERC20 tokens before they add the top 5, as I call them. So it is interesting. You do have CCNs talking about Ripple, and of course, Ripple's in everyone's pants and pockets. I don't have anything against the project, but it's true. They got a lot of money for marketing, and they are shaking everyone's hands. And a lot of news agencies talk about Ripple because of the money, guys. Let's just be honest. If you know the ins and outs, the people within the crypto space. That's how it works. There's a lot of palms that are being greased. That's why Ripple's talked about. It's not necessarily because their tech is that much better than other projects out there. But Ripple is a pretty good project, even though it's centralized and a lot different than the goal of what Bitcoin and cryptocurrency was supposed to be. But anyways, yeah, I mean, this kind of shows that Coinbase may be adding a lot of other coins before they add Cardano. We'll see. What do you think, guys? Again, new article says Bitcoin hits new lows. SEC delays ETF ruling. Yeah, you guys probably already all know this by now. But if you haven't, SEC has delayed the ETF again. Here it says, on Thursday, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission once again delayed a ruling on approving the first Bitcoin ETF for listing on a major U.S. exchange. The SEC has repeatedly rejected cryptocurrency ETFs, citing concerns over market liquidity and investor safety, and it now has until February 27th to rule on VanEck's latest Bitcoin ETF proposal. Guys, this piece right here is BS. ETF citing concerns over market liquidity and investor safety. Guys, if they really cared about safety of the investor and the market liquidity, the market cap, essentially, they would go ahead and let the ETFs go through, because it would bring a lot of money into the space. The market cap would grow, and when you have a larger market cap, it's harder to manipulate it. When your whole net worth of crypto and the whole market is worth 100 million, any big money millionaire out there can easily manipulate the market. If you took that market cap and you made it $1 trillion, $2 trillion, $3 trillion market cap, it would be really hard for just any set of millionaires that banded together to manipulate the market. So in my opinion, I think this has to do with power and control, as all things do, especially with the U.S. Government. And I'm not judging, because there may be a really good reason for why it is that way, or it could just be because of money. Who knows? Tell me what you think, guys. But in my opinion, I think it's about power and control. I think that a lot of the big players are stalling for more time to accumulate and more time to obtain data to further learn how to control the market. And because if you know anything about U.S. government, a lot of it has to do with lobbying and money and greasing palms. Um, Essentially, um, there probably is a good reason why the SEC has not made a move on the ETFs yet. It's probably because the people that have the power and the money are telling them not to do it yet. Anyways, moving on. That's all my opinion, guys, and things that I hear from really wealthy people. Uh, this article here, it's also from CCN. It says why South Korea will play a major role in cryptocurrency adoption. This, guys, is extremely bullish for Cardano. Cardano has a really nice foothold in South Korea. But essentially what this article is talking about, it says South Koreans in fact account for approximately 30% of total cryptocurrency trading worldwide, with some 30% of all salaried workers owning and trading crypto assets of some kind. Certainly, the country's recent economic history and growth is a factor, but for a fairly small country, it has a highly developed cryptocurrency exchange scene. Here's a little graph suggesting, it says local market shares for Korean exchanges. And, it is really interesting. South Korea is, I think, right behind the United States when it comes to crypto, with the amount of people that are within crypto in the market. Here it says the Korean government recently announced 1 trillion won, essentially 880 million USD, to spend on blockchain development in 2019. 2019 is going to be huge for blockchain, in my opinion, guys. And of course, you can't have blockchain without crypto. Going on, it says as part of a 5 trillion won package to stimulate the economy through innovation. So out of 5 trillion won, 1 trillion of that won is going to blockchain. This really shows, all right, let's just keep reading. It says, this is a telling indicator that South Korea is changing its stance and creating a more favorable climate for blockchain technology and the legitimization of cryptocurrency. And just to, but wait, there's more. It says taxation. South Korea has a very high taxation rate. However, since 2013, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are exempt from capital gains tax. This is huge, guys. I hope other governments really start seeing that. I essentially, once the control is established and the people that want to find that control is established, they'll want to grow the market cap. And I hope that then regulation sets in, and it's favorable regulation, just like South Korea with taxation and everything. But yeah, guys, this is a pretty cool article. There's more here to read over. I'll go ahead and link it down below for you guys to check out for yourself, just like I try to do with all the articles I go over. And here we got this article by Crypto Daily. It says Facebook zucked, like Zuckerberg, zucked into the crypto space. It says Anthony Pompliano has declared that the popular social network Facebook will eventually build the most used product in crypto, in quotations. In a response from a tweet by Mike Dudas, founder of The Block, who implied that Facebook is now hiring blockchain engineers without a clearly defined role or purchase for them. There's more to this article, but that's probably the most interesting piece. Just that they are implying that they want to create the most used product in crypto. And guys, it's kind of scary and it's kind of interesting because Facebook, they have data mined the crap out of their social media space. They have so much information on its users. They have, I think down here in the article it says they have more than 1 billion user products than any other company. Essentially, guys, Facebook is definitely a force in the tech space. They have a lot of mined data to help them figure out exactly what type of product and what people want to see within a product. So if it's a coin that they create or a launch pad for other companies to get into blockchain, or an exchange or what have you, they're going to have a lot of information to make this happen. And it's pretty interesting because they probably will develop something that is very strong within this crypto space, guys. So, anyways, tell me what you guys think about this flow. Do you like seeing the charts? Do you want to hear my opinion on more, uh, you know, kind of insider, big money secrets, how the rich get richer type scenarios? Do you want me to go ahead and talk about the news and give you my opinion? Do you like all that? Tell me what you think, guys. Like and subscribe for more. Never give up on the future of money. Take it easy.